We're not actually in the business of dogs, we're in the business of people.
Bright red questions that if someone does not have the answer for these questions, then they're not going to take the next step.
Landed on this website, I'm in the right place, I'm hearing words that relate to me, and I'm already feeling like, the kind of weight off your shoulders, because that's what it should do. That's what the job should be, shouldn't it? It makes me feel good that you're saying the same things that we say. Welcome, everybody. We have a lovely guest with us today. We've got Josh from DigiWoof with us. Josh, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yay! I'm really excited about this episode. So, for what's the words I was going to say? For the purpose of our viewers, tell everybody a little bit about you and what it is that you do at DigiWoof.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Josh Boutelle. I'm the founder here at DigiWoof, where we help positive reinforcement or force-free dog trainers in building their websites and business systems. So we've been doing this for about 6 years. And prior to that, I was actually a dog trainer myself. So I know what it's like to be in your all's shoes. So
what drove you then to pivot into this?
Sure. So I ran my dog training business for about 10 years. And so during that time, I was, disorganized, having a hard time in following up with clients, all of the typical things. I did go to college for web design, and I found that, I actually liked working on the business stuff more than actually working with clients. So here we are.
Ooh, I do find this kind of fascinating. We've only been talking today that I think so many people, you don't realize it until you're in it, do you? So you're kind of going in thinking, I'm going to do this whole thing with dogs. And I'm like, actually, there's an opportunity here and I get to go and explore what this looks like. So what was kind of that moment for you then when you went, I'm going to go and do this?
COVID actually forced me into it, definitely. So I was in San Francisco at the start of COVID with a, fully booked out dog training schedule and, a $3,000 a month rent. And so when COVID hit, income went away. I did still have some separation anxiety clients. But DigiWoof was already, getting started. I was already taking on some website clients. And so just took the leap. So
it's scary to do it, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. from going from whatever, even into dog training, from anything else that you might be doing previously, any kind of big leap into a new venture is a scary thing. So.
And you mentioned about that I think you said about working with people was tricky and that's why you wanted to pivot. What was it around that? What was it around the owners or the people that you struggled with, if you don't mind?
Sure. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of separation anxiety work, and that is very emotionally taxing, both from, the client perspective and then also from the trainer's perspective of trying to set expectations, when things aren't necessarily going super well, especially with something complex with like separation anxiety. I just felt like I could be more, impactful by helping dog trainers, because there are so many dog trainers that are better than me. So I'd rather, kind of push them than myself, definitely. So.
I love it. I love it. So from your perspective then, so with what you're helping people with now, like building their websites and everything, what kind of thing are you looking for when you're doing that website build? Is it the actual techie side? Are you going into the messaging and all of the stuff that goes on that website? Or tell me more.
Yeah, so when we build websites, we find the written content to often be more important than the actual design of the website. So you can have a really pretty website and, it can have all of these animations and really nice photos and it can be built really well, but if it's not resonating with the audience that is actually taking it in and getting them to have kind of that like aha moment of like, oh my gosh, this trainer knows who I am, knows what I'm going through, then that nice design isn't going to go very far. So we really focus on the messaging, and then once we're all good to go on that front, then we move into design from there typically.
It's the hardest thing we find, isn't it? Like that, getting that messaging right. Like I think dog trainers really struggle with that connective piece with an audience. So we talk a lot about, we need to make sure we are connecting with people. We're looking at outcomes, and actually what we tend to find, certainly from the force-free positive reinforcement side of it, is we almost like educate to the point where it puts people off. Like, I don't even want to come in because I don't understand half the stuff you're saying.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So when someone is struggling with their dog and they're on, their last thread, the last thing they want to know about is what desensitization is, or, any of those things. So
what do you think from your perspective is the reasoning behind why we as dog trainers tend to lean more towards that from a marketing perspective?
I think force-free dog trainers are really careful, and maybe even a little bit too careful to be ethical. Well, you can never be too careful, but they're really focused on their ethics, and they don't want to overpromise, and you obviously shouldn't be overpromising, but I think there's a fine line between giving people guarantees that you just can't guarantee, and then giving them other guarantees of like how you are going to show up in the whole situation. So that's usually the distinction I make, in that you're not guaranteeing the outcomes or results necessarily, because we're dealing with a sentient being, but we can guarantee them how we're going to show up, how we're going to support them, all of those sorts of things that we can guarantee that we are bringing to the table.
I'm so happy you've said that, because that is exactly the ethos that we have as well. It is exactly that, because you cannot guarantee. You have two people here, two sentient beings that are working together, and you can't ever guarantee those things. But I think the more you can lean in on that, your commitment, your promise, like how you will show up, how you will support them, and just make that so super clear. Because you can then never break that promise. If you've committed to do that, you'll do it. And I think that this is the difference when you're reading a website or socials or whatever from a force-free trainer. It's helping them understand. How much support do you give them on in that kind of way then? So if they're coming in with the jargony things and the typical sort of over knowledge, really, that we're targeting somebody who has a lot less knowledge, how much do you steer them? How much do you support them with that and helping them understand it a little bit more?
Yeah, totally. So we usually get like a intake form from our clients, and it often is, laying out their services, all of those sorts of things, as far as like their process, the actual training that goes into it. We take that and generally write the website to where what we think would be, appropriate for, what we can promise and whatnot. Sometimes we do get pushback because, dog trainers definitely, they have a certain thought in their mind of how, they really want to make sure that they're not overpromising, et cetera, et cetera. When that happens, I mean, ultimately they have the say at the end of the day, but as much as we can, we try to politely, push them towards like, are you sure you don't want to go, this direction? And here's why. So.
Yeah. I imagine it's difficult sometimes. We find it hard.
How do you kind of overcome that then? Because it is a challenge to help this industry, to help the force-free nature of everything that we do, to see that actually by operating in that way, we are essentially being a detriment to our own business, because we're going to be turning people off by putting all of that stuff out there instead of actually doing the opposite effect in encouraging people in. So how do you navigate that with your clients?
Yeah, so I generally try to communicate that we're just doing it too soon. So if the first time a dog owner lands on your website, they're going through all of this jargon and, desensitization and, the process, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't built enough of a rapport or trust to actually get them to take those things in. So we want to have another layer, or maybe even 2 layers after that first interaction. So we want to build motivation on the website to get them to see there is an alternative path, a light at the end of the tunnel that they're after. And then once we have that buy-in, then we can start sprinkling in those things. So it's just like when we're training dogs. If we do too much too soon, then the training plan will break. We want to, build some reinforcement history first before we actually, get them to start taking in more of those things that we find important in the actual training.
Yeah, I love it. It is, isn't it? It is very relatable, isn't it, to the way that we train a dog? Yeah. And that's probably going to be a good way of trying to get that message across, isn't it?
Yeah, because funnily enough, we've talked a lot about this today on some of the episodes that we've recorded on. We've become so far removed from being that dog owner because our knowledge has continued to grow and it exceeds the amount where somebody is. And I think by putting all of that messaging out there of that whole, this is how it works, here's all the education piece, you need to behave like this in order to come and work with me, we've just forgotten what it was like to be an air quote normal human being that lives with a dog. It's it's just really challenging, isn't it?
It makes me feel good that you're saying the same things that we say. Because it is. It's that definite disconnect, and we're trying our best here to do the right things to help people see it, but we also know how hard and how prevalent that pushback is, because they don't want to belittle their knowledge, they don't want to belittle the skills, and they don't want, and again, I think it's got to come back to this imposter syndrome at some point, because if other trainers are seeing them using words and phrases that owners might use that we wouldn't use as dog trainers ourselves or behaviourists ourselves, it's that feeling of like, well, you're a bit shit then because you're using those words, so you might not know enough. It's all of that wrapped up in it as well, isn't it?
Totally. And the like Instagram community and whatnot, it can be so easy to get caught up in what are other trainers going to think, and then what if they comment on my content in such a way that makes me feel like, oh, I actually shouldn't be doing this, all of those sorts of things. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest fears, isn't it, around even if somebody like yourself is using your experience and knowledge to go, actually, this would be a better approach. You can see why they don't take it.
Sure. No, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fear is of judgment is real, definitely. So
yeah. We need to change this.
Do need to change this. What would you say from a tech perspective is the biggest challenge dog trainers are going to have coming towards the end of 2026 and heading into 2027?
Yeah. So right now it's easier than it's ever been to start a dog training business. And that also means there's more competition than there has ever been as well. So being able to get in front of the right people with the right messaging at the right time, I feel like is the number one thing that you probably should be focusing on if you're wanting more clients. But if you're not, if people don't know who you are, you can't help them. So I would say visibility is definitely the biggest thing. And then just having systems in place to where when you do actually have that visibility, to be able to follow up with those people, to actually, bring them into a business that is well thought out, is professional, to, get them to, comply with the training that you're actually giving them. So those would be kind of the two biggest things that I would see.
So I'm kind of hearing a little bit, I suppose we would interpret that as like the customer journey. Is that right? So that as soon as somebody lands on, and I loved what you said before about it being, you give him the information too early, like there's all this brain dump of information that you see on a million tabs on a website, and the poor dog owner has no idea where to start or what information they actually need, what's relevant now, what's not. And it is very much so. We're overloading their brains before it's necessary. Like they need to know that stuff, but they don't need to know it right now. So in terms of like someone landing on the website then and being able to navigate that clearly and easily, what are your thoughts around that then? How do you help people sort of with that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'm not saying by any means that you want to like completely take like your process and how you do things out of your website. Like you do totally want those on there, but you want to simplify it as much as you possibly can. So if we can break your process down into an easy, like first, reach out, then we get started, then you see relief. Whatever you can do to synthesize your process down to, like this being easy, this is something that I can do. That would be, I think, the first thing to focus on your website, so that they're already overwhelmed. If you break down what they're going through in a way that they can understand, and then show them the path of like, wow, I can actually do this. This person understands me. Then they're going to be much more likely to take that next step with you, whether that is, booking a call, filling out like a callback form, something like that.
I like the way you described it as relief, because that's what it should do. That's what the job should be, shouldn't it? I've landed on this website. I'm in the right place. I'm hearing words that relate to me. And I'm already feeling like, the kind of weight off your shoulders. I like the way you've described that.
Yeah, because I was just thinking of most typical dog training websites. I do not feel relief when I go on it. I land on it and I'm like, right, so dog trainer, brilliant. Kind of in the right ballpark. Puppy classes, adolescent classes, one-to-ones, Sepan, don't need that one. Which one do I do?
Process of elimination.
I don't know which one I need to do. How do I find out? Oh, wait, hold on. I can just book to buy my spot on that class or that course. Oh, but I don't want to do that because I don't know if that's what I need. Do I want that one? Oh, I can just click here. How do I speak to someone? Right, okay. There's a form. Let's fill in the form. And again, I think this is that whole, I think we've genuinely, I keep going to say we've forgotten, but I genuinely don't think we know, because we've never been taught it, what information needs to be on a web page.
Yeah.
Sure. No, totally. Yeah, I mean, generally less is more. So what are the questions that you need to answer for someone to say, yes, this is the trainer for me? So if you can come up with a list of, like bright red questions that if someone does not have the answer for these questions, then they're not going to take the next step. If you can come up with that list and then go through your webpage and say, yes, I've answered each one of those and nothing more, then I think you're in a good spot typically.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And also, I think that takes work in remembering what it's to be like as a dog owner as well. Because unless you put yourself in that position again and almost like let's take the dog trainer hat off and put the dog owner hat on, you're never going to be able to do that list in the first place, are you? So that's, making sure you can do that one thing to be able to do the next thing. But I really like that, like ticking off the things and going, what else do I need, if anything? If I don't need anything, all the questions are answered. Let's take you to the next step. Yeah.
Or even what are the things that are preventing them from taking action? And then how can we address those on the webpage?
Yeah, like objection handling.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it.
We don't do enough objection handling.
We're scared of objection handling.
Not us, for clarity.
No, we're kind of overcompensating with all the other stuff so that we don't have to get to the objection handling part, I think.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it is that thought process, isn't it? Of like, if I can give you as much out here, then by the time you get to me, I don't have to do
any
anything
objections
because you know everything, and then it's your choice to come on board. Whereas actually, like, there's so much more involved in this, and we say this all the time of that we're not actually in the business of dogs, we're in the business of people, and we have to connect with people that we just don't know how to do because we've made our whole lives about dogs.
Yeah. And again, I think genuinely we have forgotten so much what it feels like, and for the most part, we were saying this on an episode we've just done, like, we're all still dog owners, like, we're dog trainers and we're dog owners for the most part, aren't we? There's not many dog trainers that don't have a dog. So it's just, what can we do just to remove, and I think it is literally the case of like visually removing that hat and putting that owner hat back on sometimes, because otherwise. But yeah, I love all this. Yeah, it is hard, isn't it? And we get it. We've been there. We've done it. And this is why we can have these conversations now, because we are not better than you lot in any way, shape or form. We've made all the mistakes. We've done all the stuff. We've both built our own. Did you build your own website? And
at one point, yeah.
Stab around with it and do the best we thought we were doing. And
I've also spent a fuck ton of money on a website that was just a waste of money, but you don't know, do you? You just
didn't you have one with all like bits that flashed up and like flashy bits on it?
Yeah, like the one I invested, I think it was about 10 grand. I blew on a website. Yeah. Yes. God, this was like 13 years ago as well, so it was like a lot more money then.
Right.
What did it have? It had all the SEO stuff on it. It was but the thing that I didn't know back then was I thought all I needed was a website. Like you talked earlier about making sure that visibility and everything is there. But for me at that time, I didn't really understand what visibility meant. I just assumed if I've got an all singing or dancing website that does everything it needs to do, that's enough. People will find me. Right. I have to, and then you kind of learn a little bit more as you go on. You're like, right, okay, if I put some blogs and some SEO stuff in there, then that's all going to do the amazing thing. But actually, I think for a lot of us, we're in an early part of our career, and certainly if you are a sole trader, you've not set your company up as a company, it's just you delivering it, taking that cash coming in, then you don't know how to do anything else other than that. You don't know how to be visible. You don't know how to do all that marketing stuff. And therefore, in that scenario, how important do you feel a website is at someone in the early stages of their journey compared to all the other components of business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I definitely don't think a new dog trainer needs to go spend $10,000 or even $1,000 on a website. I think if you get something, and you won't know, what works until you've had some time to see how your audience takes it in and whatnot too. So I feel like you do need, at least a simple web page up to start, just so that you can start, collecting Google reviews, for example, having your Google business profile connected to your website, those sorts of things. And then, but that is to say, would I spend, all of my time on a website when I'm just getting started out? Probably not. You want to get it up, but then you need to start taking the actual actions to get people to see that website, is what I would say.
Oh, I like that answer. It's a good answer. You can come again, Josh. So if that is the case then, so if we're not doing, oh God, I'm fidgeting again.
Stop fidgeting.
I keep getting told off for moving around. What are you looking at me funny for, Ryan? Oh, okay. I knocked, God, the stress. I've knocked my mic and now it's thrown everything off. So if the website isn't as important as I think we all make out for it to be. I also do think this is a little bit of a procrastination tactic that we all do, that the website needs to be amazing and it just stops it. Like it's a good excuse, isn't it? I haven't got time to go and speak to people to try and make some money selling my service because I've got my website to do. I haven't got time to go and do this. I've got my website to do. So if we're not doing the website stuff, what else should we be doing? Where should we be spending our time?
Yeah. So I would say, one, if you already have clients, getting Google reviews is a big one, definitely. So the more frequent, the more relevant that you're getting reviews, the more likely you are to show up in local search results. So that's one thing that I feel is a low-hanging fruit. Otherwise, I would say social media is probably a longer game typically. So, if you're a new dog trainer and you're thinking like, man, I need some clients, going and spending, 20, 30 hours a week on social media. Yes, it could potentially work if you get lucky and you're good at, making content. But oftentimes it is a slow burn sort of endeavor. So if I were a local dog trainer, I would be focusing on making connections. So, can we make referral relationships with other professionals, veterinarians, pet stores, rescues, those sorts of things. And then, I'm pretty big on, coming up with a small marketing budget as well. So yes, social media doesn't always work the best we want, but if we can, put a little bit of money aside to get a good campaign to get dog owners in our area to know who we are and to trust us a bit more, that would be my kind of go-to.
Ooh, I like the slide. What are you laughing at?
No, I'm laughing because I know what you're thinking. Psychic here,
Well, just keep saying all the right things. I'm like, I'll let you can come back. But also, I find that a really fascinating spin. It's not where I thought you were going to go, and I'm happy about that. What?
Nothing.
That the marketing budget for ads, but not in an ad spend sales way. It's a visibility bit. It's that bring your awareness to people. And I love that because I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that.
No, I don't think I have.
I'm actually going to eat my own hat if somebody else has said that to me, but I don't think they have.
No, I don't think they have.
It's always been put money on Google ads and try and generate inquiries so you can get some cash. And I'm like, I just think at an early stage in business, you're wasting money. But I like that from a brand awareness.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're running Google ads when you're new, you're then usually, you don't know what a good web page is to send that Google ad traffic to. And then also you're asking them to do something on that page, typically like booking a call. And if you're just getting started out, being good at sales calls can be a hard thing to do too. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, she's happy now. No, it's saying the right things. So in alignment with what we say. And it is that. I think there's a real problem around, I don't want to make it sound like people aren't willing to put work in. That they are, but I don't think they are maybe not sure of the tactic they're applying because they don't have the strategy around it anyway. So they don't know if it's right. And then they give up quite easily, because if you don't get something back straight away, I think it's because of the world we live in and we want that instant gratification. And if we don't get something for doing something, we're like, oh, well, that's shit. That didn't work. And then they'll move on to doing something else. So I think it's that building the awareness bit. It goes so far, doesn't it, to lay those foundations, to just keep showing up and going, hi, I'm here. I don't necessarily want you to do something at the moment or buy something from me right now, this second, but I'm just putting that graft in, that work in to get visible, get known, show my face either physically, like in person, or just in local groups, maybe Facebook groups or communities or things like that. And I just think I think it's a lack of follow through. I don't know.
I just don't think we've got the skills. I don't think we're aware of it. I think we get so caught up in dog knowledge and then assuming. It's weird, isn't it? Like, where does this information come from? Because it's clearly seeped into our brains at some point. Don't you dare say osmosis to me. It's clearly seeped into our brains somewhere that the thought process is you need to have a website, you need to be on social media, you need to be doing some ad spend. But then it's like, but how do I do all of that stuff? Why do I need to do all of that stuff? There's no... But we know that that's kind of the building blocks of a business, but we just don't know how to use them, is the best way I can describe it.
Totally. I feel like a lot of like generic marketing has definitely seeped into dog training. So, you know, these tactics of like having a website, running Google ads, getting someone to book a call or call a phone number, that can certainly work for a plumber, really well, because there's not, you're not yes, you are having to trust a plumber, but you're unclogging a toilet. You're not dealing with a family member that is your dog, right? So I feel like trust is often the piece that is missing for, more of that general marketing kind of tactics.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It is a lot to do with that, isn't it? Because it is so generic is the word, really, isn't it? There's no substance there, is there? I feel in a lot of places. It's just surface level stuff, same as everyone else.
Right.
Got transactional shit, I just feel like I wanted to say.
Transactional shit. Yeah, it is like transactional, surface level. So what can we do then to help build the substance around us then? So if we're going to get out there, get more visible, get more awareness, what specifically do you feel is going to help contribute to that? To help dog trainers be seen a bit more and be noticed and actually for the right reasons?
Sure. So on more of like a very local level, those relationships that you can make with the organizations in your area, so rescues, vets, et cetera, that can go a long way. So doing things like, you could think about hosting like a staff training thing for a vet office, for example, on body language, or, working with a rescue to better set up their volunteers for dog handling, et cetera. So, getting the people within those organizations to trust you will then lend some of your credibility to the people that they're interacting with. So I think that's one way of doing it. Another way would be what we work with on some of our advertising clients is building like an authority video and then advertising to that authority video. So that's typically like, a 5-6 minute video where we are speaking to the person that we are trying to attract. So let's say you're a dog trainer that, specializes in reactivity. So you might decide to put together a video that is around leash reactivity, more than just going over like what it is, how you can help, et cetera. We want to focus on the getting people to see their dog in a different light. So rather than thinking their dog is stubborn, is, giving them a hard time, is aggressive, et cetera, going through kind of a belief shift in that video, and then basically giving them the opportunity after they have that big aha moment after watching your video to take a next step with you. That's just one of many sort of like projects that you could work on, but we find that to be beneficial, especially for those dog trainers that are wanting to do some advertising.
Notice all the things he said is involved showing your face, hearing your voice, showing you're not an AI bot and you're an actual human being.
Exactly. And with so much AI coming out and, AI avatars and all of those things, I feel like over the next few years, it's going to be the human element that is going to set dog trainers apart more than anything.
Yay!
Yeah.
We need some like effects on this video.
Oh, I don't know if my Zoom account will do it. Normally, if I stick my two thumbs
little
up,
thumbs
like
up.
it'll confetti drop on me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I love it.
definitely that is the thing, isn't it? That human bit has been lost so much and it's getting more lost every single day. I hate those
Actually-
AI pictures. I keep seeing people's profile pictures.
I
AI.
want to explore this because I don't. This came up as a conversation for us just before we jumped on this episode, actually. Not quite in relation to this, but cultural differences on. So, like you guys being in the States, how do you find. Well, actually, let me first get some context for it. So, the clients that you work with at DigiWoof, are they predominantly in the States? Are they global?
Yeah, I'd say 75% in the States, and then some UK folks and Australia folks. Yeah.
Ah, interesting then. So do you find, or rather better question, what differences do you see between those three different culture sets? I feel like Australia might be a little bit more similar to the UK,
Yeah.
just from our experience. In the confidence level of being okay with like camera talk and face to camera and putting yourself out there.
I've never really considered that. I would say, I mean, there's definitely a wide spectrum on both sides of the pond, but you know, I would say our American clients are sometimes a little bit more ready to like get on camera and show themselves and be bubbly and whatnot. But now that I'm thinking of it, certain types of people, regardless of where they are, just ready to go on camera and do those things. So I would say, me personally, that has been the biggest struggle is, getting my face on camera, getting used to actually speaking on camera, talking to people, those sorts of things. So I don't know if that was much of an answer.
No, it's just because it is, isn't it? It's like it's still a people thing, but we just notice, I suppose, in different parts of the business blocks and stuff that our experience is actually you guys over in the States are a little bit more aware that you're running a business from that dog training perspective. It's a massive sweeping generalization, massive generalization.
In our small pool of data.
In our corner of the world, we refer to ourselves by the profession more than we have a business. And just that thought awareness and that mindset piece of, oh, actually, no, I am running a business and I do need to look at how to run the business, to get the clients, to do the work, like all of that are business tactics. But I genuinely don't think we don't tend to see that much in our British folk, that we're looking at it like that. It's almost become that hobby that we're trying to shoehorn a business bit in, but we're not ready to accept that we've got a business.
That's fair. Yeah. And I would say in the US too, especially among force-free dog trainers, I would say that is a bit more prevalent overall. So they want to help dogs, they want to help people. They're not in it for the money, but we both know that in order to help more people, you need to have longevity in this business. So
Helping them understand it's okay to want money.
yeah. I want money.
You kind of need it.
Yeah.
Yay!
We do. We need it to survive, and we need to do all these things.
Yeah, own it. You mentioned there about your own challenges around speaking to people and getting out there and putting your face on camera. Then what helped you be able to overcome those things and be able to start to do more of that personally?
Lots of practice. So over the last 15 years of doing it while I'm scared is, you just got to do it. So putting yourself out there, just knowing that everyone else that is doing the same thing is probably just as scared as you are. So you'll get better. And then at the same time, especially today, if you're, a good place to start is potentially pre-recorded video and scripting your videos. and, just getting used to presenting in that way. With modern editing software, you can take a recording that was 30 minutes long, filled with ums and uhs and, mistakes, and, get it down to a 5-minute video in a matter of minutes. So
What was the driving force for you to want to put in that effort, though? Because when you're scared to do something...
Yeah, that's a good question, Jo.
Oh, thank you. I've got 2 good question comments today. I'm yes, winning at life. Because I feel like if you're that petrified of doing something, which we all have these fears, there needs to be a motivation somewhere to go, I'm doing this and I'm doing it for a reason. What was that reason for you?
it was something that needed to be done to hit that next level. So yes, I could go spend 30 hours in making social posts for the month and, doing fiddling with my website for the other 20 hours of the month. But when I really take a step back to see like what is going to be most impactful from a long-term perspective, it is doing these things that I find hard. So, if it feels hard, it's probably in the right direction is what I typically think.
It needs to be in the CBA fold, I feel like it's just there.
You are in the CBA fold. I like it.
Well, I've got a question which might not be related to this, but I almost got 2 angles to it. So obviously you help your niche in what you do because you help force-free dog trainers, right? So how has that, like, what does that do in terms of success for your business? Because I almost want to spin it to what successes has it brought you just niching into that? Because there's a huge fear around niching in the dog training industry.
Are you a niche or a niche?
Oh yeah, niche.
A niche. I say niche. Yeah.
There we go.
So we need to learn which areas of America say niche and niche then as well. But yeah, so that's a potentially scary because we're the same. Like we work with force-free dog trainers to help them grow their businesses. So it's people say to us, oh, that's really niche. And it's like, well, yeah, because we came from that background. So it makes complete sense. So I would love to know then what that has done for your business success, or on the flip side, what are the challenges with that? And then also kind of relating it back to, I suppose, this question for you listeners is like, listen to this question in terms of like, if you're fearful of niching to a certain type of dog or a certain type of owner, and there's that kind of fear around, there won't be enough of them, I'm not going to get enough money in and blah, blah, blah. But I think I want people to just listen to this answer that you give in terms of that for them. So it helps them as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I am very pro niching down. So for myself, niching has allowed DigiWoof to attract the clients that we want to work with, that we, from like an ethics perspective, from like I like working with you perspective, we are attracting the people we want to work with. We're able to do the kind of work we want to do more of because, we are of the same thread as our customers. Like we know the language that works. We know, the ethical marketing language that can work for these businesses. We're not getting pushback that we would be if we were to be working with like balance trainers and, whatever else. And then on the production side, like we aren't feeling icky about like the work we're putting out. So we're not helping businesses that we know are going to go yank and crank a dog or anything like that. So, and then just from a authority perspective too, like if we started DigiWoof and we were just, going for all dog trainers or all pet care professionals, that would lump us with 15 or 20 other businesses that are doing something similar to us. We're able to be, more of a big fish in a small pond, so to say, to where we can really narrow down on our messaging, really speak to the exact people we want to work with, and ultimately, I can't say that we've had many downsides to niching down necessarily. So
great answer. listen to what I say.
I'm gonna play that devil's advocate person though.
Oh, go on.
And because these are the things that we've heard from dog trainers when we've suggested going down a niching route. Sure. I get bored. I don't want to be stuck doing just puppies,
the same old thing,
for example.
Yeah.
I need the what's the word I'm looking for? Variety. That's it. I had variation in my head. Similar, but not the same. I need the variety. I don't want to, I'm going to get bored with just working with puppies. And then also if I go all in on something like reactivity, then that's too emotionally draining. So I need almost, like, it's quite nice having a puppy client then that I can like balance it out and go like, oh, okay, I've got my really hard one and then I've got my one that makes me feel good. What would you say to someone who is feeling and thinking that way? Because I think it's quite a commonality for a lot of us.
So I would say that niching down doesn't mean that you're preventing yourself from working with those other groups by any means. It just means that you're becoming known for this specific thing, and gaining credibility with this specific thing. But let's say that you are someone that wants to potentially niche down to puppy stuff. And then you're thinking like, well, I still want reactive clients, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully not, but some of those puppies might become reactive clients later on. It's not like we are going forward going to refuse all reactivity clients or anything like that. It just means that you're making your messaging in such a way that you're really resonating with this one audience to start with. That doesn't mean that you can't create another, funnel later down the line where you're trying to become a authority in another area. But I think it's good to start with one and then go from there as you've kind of mastered the audience.
I think you said it in a nutshell earlier when you said a big fish in a small pond. Like that's the persona it creates though, doesn't it? So it's the same with us. Like we target force-free dog trainers, but we've got pet sitters, groomers. We've had people that have owned kennels and daycares and stuff like that. So if they approach us, it's at our discretion whether we think what we have to offer is going to suit them and their needs. And it's still the same. Like we'll understand what it is they're struggling with. We can see whether what we have applies for them, and then you can make that decision. And it's exactly the same with trainers. It's a decision for them to make, isn't it? If someone comes towards them that isn't that exact criteria, you can absolutely go off piste and do whatever you want to do. So yeah. Do you get clients that approach you that are not dog trainers and they might be a sitter or a walker or something?
Yeah, we definitely have some dog walkers, pet sitters, those sorts of businesses. Yeah. And I mean, as long as they are force free, we will generally work with them. So
yeah. And they're attracted to what it is that you're putting out. Again, it's this visibility, this awareness. What do you stand for? All of that sort of stuff that they're going to be attracted to as well. So
yeah. I'm curious to explore because I don't think even we've discussed this. Oh, look at the face. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, what's going to come out of her mouth? I'm not sure.
It's not bad. Jeez. We've kind of touched upon this theme a little bit in today's episode of I think you mentioned earlier that social media is the long play game, and we need to be doing lots and lots of different things within our business, certainly focusing on that visibility side of it. And I appreciate this isn't a definitive black and white answer. In your experience, what would you suggest or advise people from an expectation perspective on how long something would take when you're working on visibility before you start seeing traction in it?
So it can vary, definitely. So depending on like what you're doing. So if you're reaching out to rescues, vets, referral partners, et cetera, that could potentially pay off sooner than later. So if you're able to schedule a conversation with, the rescue like board, for example, and get something going fast with them. Maybe get like some sort of like puppy packet in their adoption, papers and whatnot. That could start paying off sooner than later, because they are in front of new dog owners in your area and whatnot. With things that are more of a slow burn, like social media, I mean, there is a wide spectrum on that, but there, every now and then you'll see some trainer that just started Instagram and they made a reel that caught fire, and now all of a sudden they're an influencer or whatnot. I would say that is less common. Typically, we see dog trainers starting social media, and they can be posting for every day for months and months and make little traction. So social media, I feel like is the most unpredictable of all of the projects you could go for. As far as like advertising, again, it depends on what you're advertising. If the offer you have is good that you're advertising, that can typically be a bit faster, especially if you have like a good kind of testing system to see what is working, what isn't working. Yeah.
It's I like how you answered it, because it fascinates me, and we all do it. We're all guilty of doing this. Our immediate thought is we need to be on social media. And a bit like how I explained the procrastination around like tinkering with the website earlier, I think we do the same with social media as well. Like I need to go and do a post. And it's my belief, and I'm going to loop Vicky into this as well, because I know it's your belief. And something you said earlier about we're almost putting it off because we know we need to do this other thing that we find really difficult. We know that's the thing deep down that we need to be doing to gain traction, to genuinely get those inquiries coming in, but we don't want to do it. So I'm going to take the easier route because it feels safer to us, but it's actually more risky. I think it's a massive risk relying on the safe route of not putting yourself out there. And I know that that's hard to hear.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. It is, what was the word I was looking for? It feels productive, definitely, to, spend an hour on a post but then when it gets 2 likes from your mother-in-law and, another dog trainer, then, it isn't really paying off. So I'm in full agreement with you in that, if try as much as you can, push yourself to do those hard things. Like for me right now, it is reaching out to, different organizations within our industry. And I am finding myself like really gravitating like, oh, well, I could just go spend an hour on this web page I want to make or whatnot. But I know that the big thing I really need to do is networking and those sorts of things. So I am by no means like better any better than anyone else at that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I don't think any of us are immune to that. Like we're all good at we're all good at putting things off, and we know deep down there's a reason, but we'll make every excuse under the sun for it to sound like a genuine thing.
Az is actually doing the tech side of our business. I'll avoid it like the plague. I'm like, oh no, I just don't want to do it. We're the total opposites. Like we will, as in to most people, like we would rather do the reach outs, the networking and the very people-y stuff. I'm like, oh God, I've got to go and do that thing where I've got to lock myself in a room and just concentrate. And I can't even sit still on a podcast for like 5 minutes, let alone I'm going to go back to Genie Pose.
The struggle is real for you.
Genie Pose. I feel like I'm in like a meditative state now. Just do some hum. Oh dear, I've gone off piste now.
Yeah, you have massively gone off piste. Yeah. Other than, because I know it isn't just websites that you help people with, is it? What else do you feel is important then for force-free dog trainers to get their business working as well as they can?
So having systems in place is a big one. So even if you have a website and people are reaching out, there's all the things that happen after someone lands on your website that is what is going to eat most of your time. So if you can have systems, one, to respond to inquiries immediately. So the faster that you can respond to inquiries, the more likelihood of them becoming clients. Other things, as far as like administrative work, that is always what I've hated. So putting systems into place to follow up with undecided leads. So rather than you keeping it on a sticky note in the back of your head to like, oh, I'm going to remember to send them an email in a few days. When I was a trainer, I would have that thought, and then I don't think I ever sent a follow-up email that I told myself I was going to send. So having some sort of system for follow-up, for client onboarding can be very helpful. So something to send out your welcome emails, your contracts, your invoices, making your business look professional, which is going to lead to the trust factor, getting people to actually pick up what you're putting down and see you as an authority figure. And then on the back end of that, having systems for, asking clients for reviews, checking in with past clients, just having systems to, one, professionalize your business, so that you are being portrayed as an actual business. And then two, things to take some of those boring things that you don't like doing off of your plate so that you can reinvest your time into these things that we're talking about that can actually move the needle.
Lots to do, isn't there? Yeah. I think we underestimate what's actually needed to keep a business ticking.
Yeah. Even the thing about prompting the Google reviews and stuff, like I used to be really crap at like getting those,
but we all leave it to the last minute as well, don't we?
And the other thing is, you ask for it once, someone's busy and you think they don't want to leave one, that goes to the negative, and you think, well, they must not have enjoyed it because they haven't left me a review. And it's like, people are busy, people have lives with loads of things in there. They're having that prompt of keep following up with them, and there's probably a good reason why they haven't done it, not because they hate you. I think it's all those things that are going to add to the credibility. The more of those reviews you get, the better. But it is actually remembering to do it, isn't it? And setting time aside to dedicate to it. So if there's something that reminds you, awesome.
or you can automate it too. So putting something into your systems to where, when a package ends, then your automation just automatically sends those things out. That, if you're like me, to where you're not going to remember that sticky note, sometimes having some systems like that can be a good idea.
Yeah, and I think you're right, is elevating that professionalism. Everything you've just said is going to do that, isn't it? And I think it's having that slick, like, offboarding is as important as the onboarding as well. So having something like an email goes out with a Google review request on it, or however that's delivered, whether it is email form or WhatsApp or whatever, and that just is done and it's part of the process. Amazing. It's a nice little end to it all, isn't it? Mm.
Yeah, and it takes the pressure off of you of, having that, like, oh, are they going to leave me a bad review, or do they not like me, et cetera, et cetera. If it's just built into your system and you're not thinking about it, then you can't talk yourself out of doing it.
It's been like a really good episode.
Brilliant episode.
Lots covered. I like it.
Yeah. So, well, how do people find out more about you and DigiWoof if they want to know more?
Sure. You can visit our website at digiwoof.com and take a look at all we have to offer. We have free website builds for dog trainers, and then we have a bunch of courses on how to do some of the things that we've talked about today too. So.
And you are on socials as well, because I've seen your lovely face on there. So you are practicing what you're preaching.
At DigiWoof on all the platforms, most of the platforms. So.
Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you ever so much for joining us, Josh. I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both so much. I think what you all are doing is super important, and thank you for doing it.
Appreciate it. Lots of love today.
Yeah, very much. Thank you so much.